Greetings to the conference. I am Dj.Росс representing the Schiller Institute, founded by Helga Zepp-LaRouche. It is an honor to address this State University of Management Forum celebrating the birth of the great V.I. Vernadsky. Today I will present the views of Vernadsky expressed by Lyndon LaRouche, the American economist, statesman, and many-time presidential candidate, and friend of Russia, and in particular of Russian science. And I will present the contemporary application of those views through Helga Zepp-LaRouche's 10 Principles of a New International Security and Development Architecture. In his 2001 article, The Vernadsky Strategy, Lyndon LaRouche identifies Russia as one of only a very few cultures on this planet capable, at the time, of conceptualizing the initiation of global solutions to world problems. He points in particular to the role of Vernadsky. Quote, "The figure of biogeochemist V.I. Vernadsky should serve as a key unifying figure for the contribution of the science of Russia and Ukraine to the unified development of Eurasia as a whole." The choice facing the world, LaRouche writes, is between an efficient commitment to the cooperative economic development among at least most of the peoples of Eurasia, or world domination by a new form of the old imperial maritime power of Venice's financial oligarchy, an Anglo-American new Roman Empire. But there is a cultural and scientific outlook necessary to cause a world choice for development. Quote, "No nation of Western or Central continental Europe has a present instinct for truly sovereign national policy initiatives, which might be contrary to the English-speaking powers," LaRouche assesses. But there is Russia. Quote, "Western Europe cannot survive the present trends except through relevant, long-term cooperation pivoted upon a willing role by President Putin's Russia, and the fact that Russia, by its deeply embedded national cultural instinct, is capable of thinking in terms of global solutions." LaRouche explains that Russia is also crucial for cooperation among the states of Asia. Quote, "A group of nations brought together through aid of triangular cooperation among Russia, China, and India, and Russia has a unique role in bringing this about, this gives an opportunity for cooperation that were otherwise virtually impossible to achieve," said LaRouche in 2001. The concepts of the biosphere and noosphere developed by V.I. Vernadsky are of crucial importance today in properly understanding basic economic infrastructure. The platform, the man-made environment through which production is situated, and in expanding the frontiers of science, as well as our understanding of what science is. LaRouche summarizes Vernadsky's most significant contribution. Vernadsky emphasized the anomalous but unavoidable evidence, says LaRouche, that living processes produce measurable physical changes in non-living processes, changes which non-living processes themselves do not produce. He defined this as the biosphere. Vernadsky also emphasized, similarly, that the intervention of the human creative scientific powers into the biosphere produces measurable forms of physical improvements in the biosphere, which are not generated without such human intervention. Vernadsky defined our planet, in which living processes transform non-living ones, and cognitive processes transform living processes, as a noosphere. This organization of Vernadsky's own and others' experimental discoveries of anomalies and principles into the form of a concept of the noosphere represented a necessary revolution in the world's way of thinking about scientific knowledge in general. This concept demands new lines of research. Vernadsky's concept of the biosphere challenges us today to pay attention to known and previously unknown features of the physical principles which distinguish living processes from non-living ones. Larush warned of the potential emergence of a crisis in infectious disease, against which new defenses are required, for example. Vernadsky's scientific role, including his having developed upon the work of such thinkers as Pierre Curie and Louis Pasteur, has put Russia in a unique position to advance work in this field. Vernadsky, in his work The Study of Life and the New Physics, points to how the revolutionary work of Max Planck and Albert Einstein had redefined even the basic terms of physics, of space and time, of energy and matter. Today, a renewed understanding and improved understanding of life and cognition, through a revolution in approach made by Vernadsky, still remains to be accomplished. In The Practice of Science, Lyndon LaRouche identifies a division between a classical method that he attributes to Plato, to Nicholas of Cusa, Leonardo da Vinci, Johannes Kepler, G.W. Leibniz, Carl Gauss, Bernard Riemann, among others, versus the explicitly unprincipled method of the empiricists. Quote, notably, all of the empiricists, writes LaRouche, insist that life is, in principle, a product of mechanical principles. The latter extremist view is typified by the reductionist ivory tower doctrines of those who insist that life is merely a product of molecular biology. The same problem in understanding the unique phase space of human cognition leads many today to consider the mind an epiphenomenon of the brain, an emergence from biological processes themselves based solely on chemistry. As Microsoft's Sebastian Bubeck and company acknowledge in their recent article, Sparks of Artificial General Intelligence, Early Experiments with GPT-4, quote, perhaps the only real test of understanding is whether one can produce new knowledge. Precisely. The hypothesis of new physical principles, as by Johannes Kepler, differentiated that astronomer from all preceding ones, who merely sought to save appearances, to accurately predict results. But a new principle must necessarily contradict certain existing beliefs. It does not flow from them. Quote, the work of specialists in relevant types of anomalous biogeochemical effects must be fostered, and teams of gifted young students and professionals employed and equipped so that we might fill up the numerous experimental gaps in our studies of relevant anomalies, writes LaRouche. Helga Zepp-LaRouche, founder of the Schiller Institute and wife of Lyndon LaRouche, proposed at a conference in November 2022 what she called 10 Principles of a New International Security and Development Architecture. Quote, the new paradigm which will be characteristic of the new epoch and towards which the new global security and development architecture must be directed, Zepp-LaRouche writes, must eliminate the concept of oligarchism for good and proceed to organize the political order in such a way that the true character of humanity as the creative species can be realized. The 10 points she has provided to spur discussion as food for thought and dialogue among all people concerned to find a basis for a world order guaranteeing the durable existence of the human species, they arise from a view of man as expressed in her 10th principle. Quote, the basic assumption for the new paradigm is that man is fundamentally good and capable of infinitely perfecting the creativity of his mind and the beauty of his soul, and being the most advanced geological force in the universe, which proves that the lawfulness of the mind and that of the physical universe are in correspondence and cohesion, and that all evil is the result of a lack of development, and therefore can be overcome. This capability of infinitely perfecting our species demands space science, biophysics, and thermonuclear fusion science as drivers today. From such fundamental research come the principles that underlie technology and are the source for all fundamental economic growth. By the means of scientific advance, of infrastructure development, of financial and economic reorganization towards a credit system for needed large-scale investments, and through a commitment to provide every human being with access to a universal education, we will eliminate poverty in every nation on this planet and extend life expectancy and health. To do this, writes Laruша, quote, the new global security architecture must eliminate the concept of geopolitics by ending the division of the world into blocks. Instead, the new international security and development architecture must be a partnership of perfectly sovereign nation-states based on the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence and the UN Charter. To this end, Laruша, the woman from Trier, concludes, "World citizens of all countries unite." I conclude this talk by quoting again from Lyndon LaRouche's April 26, 2001 article, The Vernadsky Strategy. Quote, Vernadsky serves us now as perhaps the most appropriate, personalized image of the benefits for all mankind of pursuing the core development of the new Eurasia cooperation, the development of its basic economic infrastructure as the enduring gift of this conception to all future mankind. Laruша concludes his article, therefore, let the actual thinking process of the great Vernadsky be replicated in the minds of the professionals and gifted students of today. To bring that desired effect about, one should begin by remembering his name. Let us dedicate ourselves to this mission. Thank you.